All right, so today we're going to see how the Sennheiser Momentum 4 stack up against some of my favorite premium earbuds. We'll cover the important categories and I'll give my opinion on where the Momentum 4 fall in that mix. Now, towards the end of the video, I also want to talk about a pretty significant drawback that I've noticed when it comes to the Momentum 4. So if you're considering picking these up, make sure you stick around for that. Now, first things first, let's take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, ESR. One of the earbuds that we'll talk about today are the Airpods Pro 2, and ESR offers some of the best protection for your AirPods. There's nothing worse than accidentally dropping your earbuds and having them spill all over the floor. ESR's new Pulse Series case solves that issue with a lid locking design. That means a much better chance of your AirPods staying closed and protected after an accidental drop. You'll also maintain full functionality of your charging case with access to the charging indicator, charging port, and the Bluetooth pairing button. There's even a lanyard for easier portability. And then as far as charging, you still have that MagSafe compatibility. Their Cyber Armor case offers a lot of the same benefits with a slightly different style. This one has a lid that locks magnetically to give you a similar level of protection. So if you're looking for a way to keep your AirPods in good condition long term, make sure you check out the link down in the description. And thank you to ESR for sponsoring today's video. So the first category on the list is comfort. And this is actually the lowest ranking category for the Momentum 4. As you can see, I've got them in last place at number 5. For me, I have the AirPods at number 1. There's not really a whole lot to say. The shape on these is incredibly ergonomic. And when you place them in your ear, they're just super comfortable. Now, I know a lot of people do struggle with them staying in the ear, but again, right now we're talking comfort. At number 2, I have the Technics AZ80, and this is actually really surprising considering the size on these earbuds, but there's just something about the layout and their overall shape and design. They're super comfortable. Even though I've got smaller ears and the earbuds themselves are larger, they just work. From there, I have the Bose Quietcomfort Ultra, kind of similar to the AirPods with the stem style design, but as you can see, they're just a lot thicker. And then I have the XM5, which would actually be a lot higher on the list if it wasn't for one thing. They're super compact and they have the foam ear tips, which do feel really good in the ear, but the left earbud has this little braille indicator, this little tiny dot right there. And for me, when I place these in my ear, on occasion, I can feel that dot poking me in the ear. I don't know if it's just my ear specifically or if anyone else runs into this issue, but if it wasn't for that, these will probably be in the number 2 spot. And then last but not least, I've got the Sennheiser Momentum 4. The overall security on these is excellent. With a little bit of effort, I can get them wedged in my ear, and with that wingtip design, I can get a very secure fit. But the fact that I have to wedge them in there so tight kind of takes away as far as comfort. So about an hour max is what I'm looking at before I need to give my ears a rest when it comes to these. Now, if you have larger size ears, that's probably not going to be the case for you. You can probably wear these for extended periods of time with zero issue. But again, if your ears are small like mine, you're probably going to have a similar experience. Next up, let's talk connectivity. As you can see, I've got the Momentum 4 tied with the Sony XM5 in that number 2 spot. In the number 1 spot, I've got the Technics AZ80, and that's simply because these are the only earbuds that I'm aware of that allow you to connect to 3 devices at the exact same time. With the Momentum 4 and the XM5, they've got your more traditional multi-point connection where you can connect to 2 devices at once, and they both handle this very, very well. It's very flawless as far as staying connected to 2 devices and switching back and forth between the 2. And then from there, I've got the AirPods in that number 3 spot. They don't exactly have multi-point connection, but if you're in the Apple ecosystem, you do have that seamless device switching where you can easily switch from device to device. And then we have the Bose Quietcomfort Ultra in that last spot, simply because they don't offer multi-point connection. Your only option is to keep a running list of your devices inside the Bose Music app, and then you can manually choose which device you're connected to within the app. So from there, let's go ahead and jump into sound quality. For me, this is where the Sennheiser Momentum 4 really earns its price tag, and that's no surprise. I was a huge fan of the sound when it came to the Momentum 3, and the Momentum 4 are definitely cut from the same cloth. Now, as you can see, I've got the Momentum 4 sharing that #1 spot along with the Technics AZ80. Both of these bring something a little bit different to the table, which is why it was tough to decide between the two. As far as the Momentum 4, I just feel like they have the greatest amount of dynamic range. So for the lower frequencies, you get some excellent extension down into those deeper sub-bass tones. And as far as the treble and clarity, it's incredibly clean. And there's just an overwhelming amount of detail in the music. And I've always been very impressed with Sennheiser's ability to give you some very, very bright treble without things coming off harsh or overly sibilant. Now, another thing I have to mention is the personalized EQ function inside the Sennheiser app. And this is just another feature that really takes the sound to the next level. Now, obviously, you also have a 3-band EQ that you can go in and customize manually, but there's just something about that personalized EQ that takes the sound to a level that you can't really replicate with that 3-band EQ. So again, if you do pick these up, you most certainly want to go through that process to set up your personalized EQ for the best sound experience. Moving over to the Technics AZ80, these also have some excellent dynamic range, great bass, especially if you opt for the super bass preset inside the app. Also great treble, great clarity. But what really stands out when it comes to these is the overall presence and sound staging. That's what made it so hard for me to put these anywhere other than the #1 spot. It's a different type of sound compared to the Momentum 4, not quite as dynamic, but the dynamic range along with the sound staging is the reason that for me, these share that #1 spot with the Momentum 4. From there, I've got the Bose Quietcomfort Ultra, some very impressive sub bass, also excellent clarity and treble. I feel like the mid to higher frequency range isn't quite as dynamic as the Momentum 4 or the AZ80. Still very impressive nonetheless, and overall, these simply deliver some very rich sound quality. From there, I've got the Sony WF-1000 XM5. And on the surface, this might seem like somewhat a low ranking for these since I technically have them at #3 because these things sound absolutely amazing. But you do have to keep in mind things like musical preference as well as EQ preference plays heavily into something like this. So just because I have them at #3 doesn't mean they couldn't be #1 for somebody else. They've got some very well-controlled, punchy bass. And then there's this silky smooth mid-range, probably the most distinguishable mid-range out of the entire bunch. And because of that, you get some amazing vocal presence. And then similar to Sennheiser's custom EQ feature, I also want to point out Sony's version of it because it allows you to customize the EQ using a song of your choice. So you could quite literally pull up your favorite artist or just a song from your favorite genre, and you can use that to customize the sound specifically to your ears. Most other earbuds that have a custom EQ feature, they play some predetermined song that you may or may not listen to ever. So with this, again, I like the fact that you can choose your own song. It just tailors it more so to what it is that you listen to. And then last but not least, I've got the Airpods. I think these are a great daily driver pair of earbuds, but I don't think anybody's going to mistake them for having the best sound in the world. For the casual listener, I'm sure they're perfectly fine, but for the sake of this video and this comparison, when it comes to sound, I gotta put them in last place. Next up, let's talk active noise cancellation. So I think you actually have to break this down into two categories itself: lower frequency sounds and higher frequency sounds. When it comes to lower frequency sounds, I've got the Momentum 4 tied with the Quietcomfort Ultra as well as the XM5 in second place. For me, it could just be the way that my ears perceive lower frequency sounds, things like an airplane engine. The Airpods Pro 2 are the most effective. Now, when it comes to higher frequency sounds, things like human voices, I've got the Momentum 4 tied with the AZ80 in the third spot, followed by the Airpods Pro 2 in the second spot. And then I've got a two-way tie between the Quietcomfort Ultra and the Sony XM5 in the first spot. Again, this is all based on my personal experience. Everybody's ears are a little different, so take that for what it's worth. Now, moving things over to transparency mode, I've got the Momentum 4 in the second spot. They're very, very effective at passing through your ambient sounds. However, it does come with a pretty significant amount of white noise, just kind of that constant static type sound. Now, luckily you can adjust the overall strength inside the Sennheiser app, so I do recommend taking it from the high setting down to the medium setting to kind of compensate for some of that white noise. When it comes to outdoor use, it does seem like the Momentum 4 have a slight bit of wind noise reduction, but the reason that the Airpods Pro 2 and the Quietcomfort Ultra are in the #1 spot is because they're a lot more responsive when it comes to wind noise and sudden loud noises. So they do a lot more to help protect your ears when you're using the transparency mode. And then in the 3rd spot, I've got the XM5 and the AZ80, both very, very effective at passing through your ambient sounds, but neither one of these seem to have any sort of adaptive mode where the earbuds will respond to any sudden loud noises coming from your external environment. Next up, let's go ahead and talk microphone performance.
All right, so first up on the list for today's microphone test are the Airpods Pro 2, an obvious crowd favorite. So as you can see, we're outdoors today. Try to get some of the ambient noise to kind of interfere with the microphones, and we'll see how each pair reacts. All right, so second on the list for today's microphone test are the Sony WF-1000 XM5. As you guys can see, same outdoor test as before. So again, we'll see how these sound. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, so third on the list, we have the Bose Quietcomfort Ultra. As of late, I haven't been a huge fan of Bose and their overall microphone performance. So yeah, you guys let me know what you think. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, so fourth on the list, we have the Technics AZ80. In the past, I've generally been pretty impressed with the microphone performance on these. So again, it should be a pretty good environment to test these out. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, and last but not least, we have the brand new Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 4. So yeah, we'll see how these stack up. In the past, the True Wireless Momentum 3 were pretty solid at overall microphone performance. So I'm expecting about the same from these. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
So for me, I will put the Momentum 4 in a 3-way tie in that second slot, along with the Airpods Pro 2 and the AZ80. I think you can make a strong case for the XM5. To me, it sounded like they did the best job at filtering the background noise. And then in the 3rd slot, I've got the Quietcomfort Ultra. I don't know what it is about Bose and their microphones lately, but they all sound very hollow and washed out. Now, as promised in the beginning of the video, I want to talk about something that I've experienced with the Sennheiser Momentum 4 that could be a pretty significant drawback, and that is this occasional screeching sound. Sometimes I'll have the earbuds in my ear and I might go and reach for the earbud to reposition it, and I'm assuming what happens is that my finger rubs across one of the microphones and then I get this loud screeching sound. It's almost like the type of feedback sound that you get between a microphone and an amplifier. And I am on the latest firmware, by the way. I'll put the exact firmware that I'm using in the comment section, but I'm curious to know if this is an isolated event or if anybody else out there is experiencing the same thing. For a pair of earbuds at this price point, it's definitely a hard pill to swallow. And if it continues, I could very well see many people returning these earbuds. And aside from that, that pretty much covers it for this video. Excellent sound quality, excellent noise cancellation. But yeah, if that issue doesn't get fixed, there could be some problems on Sennheiser's hands. So subscribe, hit the like button if you found the video to be helpful. I'd greatly appreciate it. And aside from that, I'll see you guys in the next one.